Hey, hi,
Hello.
we're live.
Indeed.
Nice.
How is everybody?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I think that I'm facilitator today,
I think that's accurate. That's what we discussed.
and I see that we have two live viewers. So I don't know if that's actual people,
It's
but
not me. Maybe it is me. Shoot.
Well,
Usually it's
I
me.
did a test. I did a test to make sure. So
it's both of you. So this this is a little complicated and a little inside baseball, and I don't know if anybody's going to care, but we're streaming today, and we're streaming under the what do you call it? The like username of Friends with Code,
Yeah, that sounds right.
but that's a rename. It used to be called Two Red Dads, and that is a show that Steve and I did for. Did we do that over a year?
We did. We
and
did it almost
recently-
2 years. I think.
And recently we realized we want to have a channel that is a little less specific. And so, because Two Rad Dads is like just me and him, we want that to be an episode or a show
A series.
under a
series.
series. There we go, under a more general umbrella, so that we could invite our friends on, like Pavlos today, Jackie in the future, and have like kind of some different things. So the idea for this hour is to have a rotating set of guests and do and try to reproduce something that we really liked when we all worked at Artsy together, called Show and Tell. And so, again, a little inside baseball. Did I cover everything, Steve? Just that we renamed the thing. This is a Show and Tell.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question for you, though.
Yeah,
You, of the three of us, are the only one currently working at Artsy.
yeah.
Do you still do show and tells at Artsy?
We do still do it. Yep.
Cool.
nice. How many people do
frequently?
usually? Yeah.
Like when you guys worked there, it can vary wildly. Sometimes it's just me and Roop looking at each other, and sometimes there's a few more people there. But it still skews pretty heavily towards the mobile folks. Monir has been pretty active in showing us what he's been working on. Yeah.
That's cool.
Do you know, or any of you know, if this meeting started at Arts? Like, did someone start it there, or did someone bring the idea? Was it you? Nice.
It was me. And I brought it
Dana
from
King.
HashRocket, my previous employer, who still does it as well. And in
Nice.
fact, they've invited alumni to join their meeting as well.
That's cool.
So
That's cool. How come Artsy never invites alumni to show up at their show and tell? Just out of
because we're
curiosity?
doing this.
Yeah.
That's true. This would not have started if that was the case.
It's true.
I'm sure if you wanted, you could like message some people and you would just be invited, right?
I mean, like, I know the guy who started it, and he still hasn't invited me, so I don't know what else I'm supposed to do here.
Yeah.
Send him some money? Would that do it?
But this is better because now it's not an internal meeting, it is an external meeting. Anybody can join, and I still see one live viewer, so I can tell that the people out there are really excited about this. Okay, so I think what we talked, this is a bit of an evolution of things. I think what we talked about was trying to establish a moderator or facilitator. I'm kind of playing that role today. And we thought maybe one thing we would try doing is going round robin and just quickly saying what t-shirt size we have to talk about today, so that if someone has a small thing to share, but someone has a large thing to share, we can kind of figure out the lineup and kind of go through it that way. So I do have maybe a small to medium thing to share, so I can do that. How about you, Pavlos?
I have one that's small to medium, and then I have another one that's that could be medium with discussion and everything. With you two.
How about you, Steve?
I have, I think I could make it anywhere from a small to a medium, probably leaning more towards medium. Mine is going to be mostly talking, it's less show, more tell.
Nice.
But, yeah.
One more thing I'll say, I'm realizing something that I used to say at the beginning of the show, Untitled Artsy, that I want to say here, is that the bar for these shows and or tells, should be low, because we want to share whatever's going on in the hopes that it connects with someone else's work or sparks an idea or a conversation. It doesn't have to be like fully thought out. Sometimes people share things that they haven't figured out too. So work in progress is absolutely great as well.
Like one
But
of
having
mine.
said all, sorry,
Like one of mine.
yeah. So, but why don't you go first, Pavlos? You had a small one, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So yeah, I can show you, I guess, share my screen, or maybe I'll just intro it. So basically, there was often for me the need for just sharing a note document. So just a markdown usually, and every time I needed that, I was sometimes doing it on GitHub, sometimes on a Gist, sometimes I was trying to do a whole website, like a single page website for this. Sometimes I needed it for like my CV, let's say, and I've wasted like weeks trying to make a React app that prints to a PDF that like is just a whole mess. So I was like, okay, no more of that. Let me just make it easier for myself. So this is what I did. Let me just share my screen here. So I made a little website that just takes a markdown and then just renders it. So this is the website. I guess you can see it, right? So yeah, just empty for markdown, I guess. And that's kind of the intro page. I haven't done too many things because this is just basically a tool for me. But if I click on intro here, so basically this is just kind of the intro of what this thing does, right? So I guess one way to use this is as you can, anything I put here, anything I add after the slash is usually the same name .md that's stored somewhere in like a storage thing of mine, which is actually B2, Backblaze B2. And then if I put here, if I write custom, then I can just type any URL and it will render it. So for example, if I have this README over here, which is from GitHub, I can just point to the same URL, and then I get the same PDF just rendered in my own like thing. Not super useful for the custom thing, but I thought, why not, right? Just to compare, I guess. And then the main thing and the main way I use this is I can, usually I have a short hotkey, what's it called? Hotkey for my notes. So let's say, I go over here, this name doesn't matter, but, if I type here and do hello from let's do this to, whoops. Yeah, let's do that. To rad dads and also Pavlos, right? And then if I save this and I usually just drag this up, where is the file? Yeah, there we go. So if I drag this up here, so this thing that up here is called Dropshare, just an app that you have it saved. You have like S3 or B2 or any kind of Dropbox or whatever, and anything you drop over there, it's automatically uploaded there. So now if I go over here and I use the same name, this 2023 10/01 10/01, it will load, and that's the thing. So basically, yeah, that's all of it. I've used it for my CV. Since then, I've used it for like, I think I have like links or something, just for random links that I have, like a CV or whatever. I have some proposals there for clients and everything. So yeah, it's been super useful to just have this and then do a markdown document, throw it there, and then in a second it's there and it's done. And then obviously I can just, do this, right? And then just drop it up there, and then it should be there. So that's kind of super nice. I need to find this easily, but there we go. Yeah, once it's up, refresh, and it's there. And that's it. That's the tool I made for me.
What is quad.codes? I've been waiting to ask that.
Just like I just made this as my like a freelance URL or whatever. It's just like a playground of whatever. I can tell you the story of this, which is kind of silly, but yeah, it's just like an old comment of mine in some code base.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't go with Batman then, if that's what we were looking for.
Yeah, I should.
I suppose you would have had to pay royalties for that or something.
Do you think? Well, if I go for Batman.gr. But anyway.
I don't want Warner Brothers to be watching this stream, so let's make sure we're not saying Batman too many times.
That's cool, Pavlos. I can definitely see, I can totally envision using this for like checklists that I would just use, like packing lists, that kind of thing. And then just sending it to my wife if she, like, you know, if we're like making a joint list for camping or something like that. Send her the list so she can view it as a nice, nicely rendered document rather than seeing like a gist in GitHub and being like, I don't understand this. What is this?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So I like it. Can you talk more about like the tech, about like how you built the like markdown, like parsing and formatting?
Yeah, I mean, I can show you the code. It's not super interesting, but it's pretty short. But I mean, yeah, this I think it's public, this URL. But basically, just a Next.js or no, a Vite project. And here's the main thing. I have like the custom and my own file loading things. So if we go to the, let's say, my own thing, or actually not the lazy, this one. Yeah, that's one of the files. It basically just grabs the, you know, the parameter, like whatever is after slash, goes to the host that I have and finds the specific file, right? And if it exists, it will try and render it. And it will render it in this lazy file here, which, again, pretty short. It grabs the favicon. So, for example, yeah, I didn't have anything ready, actually. Or, let me see if I have this. No, I don't have this here. Okay. Anyway, I can add this dash 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 title something or a favicon. Right, from Matter, that's the one. And it will load this, and then everything else is just the empty renderer, and that's a pretty simple thing, which is literally this React Markdown with a couple of extra stuff, lots of plugins and stuff, and it renders it. That's it. At some point, I want to have this, you know, if you have like a code box or code block, to have this click to copy or whatever, or maybe if I have checkboxes to have them like live update or whatever. But for now, it's pretty bare bones. It's just that. It's literally just rendering it.
What I think is cool about these kinds of projects is it's like making it in the first place, or like taking the time to make this tool for yourself. Yeah, there you go. Is like the first hurdle, but then like once you have it, adding the next feature, improving it in one way or another is like so much easier to see yourself doing, or to taking the time to do it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that resonates with me and some of the like personal apps that I have.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's my thing.
Cool. What was you were saying that like when you dropped it, when you drag, what's the hosting that you're using there? I didn't quite follow that.
So it's the little drop app is called Dropshare. I think it's a paid little app for macOS, and then I have connected to that Backblaze. I have an account.
Oh, Backblaze. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have this B2 like storage bucket, whatever
I
they
forgot
call
they
it.
even did that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one that's a public one. So, if you have the link, you can access it.
Nice.
So I just have it to upload over there. And then I got the static URL of that. And that's what I use in the little project.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, cool. Thanks, Pavlos. How about you, Steve? Are you interested in sharing next? Showing and telling next?
I can. I just need to find the unmute button. Pavlos, I don't know if you saw. I'll show it one more time. You got a cool stuff.
Ooh, nice.
Comment. So, great job. Yeah. So I'll go. I can go next. I'm gonna be talking about. I'm gonna be ranting about macOS Spaces for a little bit. John, you and I have been talking about Spaces for a very, very long time.
Here we go.
Again, have a seat. I have a lifelong battle against macOS, macOS Spaces. That's what I meant to say. They seem so much like a feature that like reached MVP, and they're like, cool, we have different workspaces for you to use, and it never made it past MVP. They shipped that and they like disbanded that team to go work on something else, because nothing ever changed after that. That's how I feel about it, and it seems like it's pretty much forgotten. But I use them a ton, so I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing to kind of explain why or how I use them. Let's share my entire window. No, entire screen. That's what I'm trying to do. StreamYard is sharing my entire screen, and it sees tunnels. Okay, so I use. Sorry, I'll make this disappear soon. I use Spaces a ton in my day-to-day. Like you can see right now, I have 7 desktops that I have set up on this computer. The way that I use them is I basically like break them up. I'm navigating between them. I break them up by project effectively. I'm not going to go show you the other ones because there might be stuff in there that I'm not supposed to show you. But yeah, I break them up by project. So like right now, this particular space is basically where I have everything that has to do with this show. And so I have like my all I have on this space is my browser, some things that I wanted to talk about, other things that I wanted to like use as an outline in my Obsidian vault. And I think there might be one more thing in there, and a configuration file. And throughout my day, like I'll work on a different project or a different task, and I'll spin up a new space to hold just the information that I need there. And so basically, what I would love, so this is like a crucial part for me, is being able to just like organize these things. I need to make this go away so that it's not freaking people out. But it's basically like it's really critical for me to be able to just kind of like have a space that is just focused on the one thing that I'm doing. And so for right now, oops, that's not the one that I meant. I want to show the full screen. Let's see this one. And so some things that are missing from macOS Spaces that I've always wanted. Number one, oops, let's make this a little bit bigger for you.
Can you make this? Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. I can if I can remember my shortcuts to do this. There it is.
Also, what is this rainbow thing that you have on the left?
It's just the theme that I'm using for Obsidian. I don't know. It looks pretty, doesn't it?
That looks nice.
I don't even know what the name of the theme is. I suppose I can figure that out. But yeah, so so the reason that I need better spaces, one, if you look at what's here in Spaces, it's just named desktop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that's horrible. And there's a setting that's checked by default that reorganizes it based on which one you've most recently used. And that is just like the most confusing setting I've ever experienced. It's very jarring. So what I would love is I'd love to be able to name this desktop 5 dev show and tell, because then it would make sense to me what's there. That's the first thing. The second thing is persistence. So I would love to be able to, every time I reboot this computer, have the desktop that is named Dev Show and Tell have all of the windows associated with that. And native spaces kind of like drop the ball on that also. When you restart your computer, you effectively have to, some things retain their space connection or like show up on the right space, but most things you have to basically go through and move everything back over to the space that you want it on. And that's super annoying. I was talking to Pavlos, and he mentioned, we were talking about something not related to spaces at all, and he just even said the word or the name Yabai, Yabai. Yabai is like a auto tiling or a tiling manager. And I was like, oh yeah, Yabai. I was using that. And I was using it because one of the things that I do on a regular basis is I'll take a window and I will oh gosh, forgive me because I may not remember this. I'll basically just move it to the I think it's this. I can't remember my shortcut right now. But basically I'll just like hit a keystroke and move it to the next window. I managed to do it. So I just I did it there. And then I'll just move it back to the other one. You can't really see anything happening, but as I go to mission control here and show you everything, you can see I moved it from one space to the next. And I do that a lot because I'll spin up a new browser window on a different space and I want to pull it over to the one that I'm working on. I was using Yabai to do this because previously I had been using Raycast to do this, and then Raycast, that particular feature broke, and then I switched over to doing it with Yabai because that worked, and then Yabai broke, and then I went back and figured out that Raycast allowed me to actually do that. Whatever, long story. But while we were talking about that, he also mentioned AeroSpace as a possibility to do that. And when I went to the AeroSpace docs, this is what I saw was, let's kind of zoom in again, if we can remember how. For some reason, I always panic with shortcuts when we're on stream. Like I can do it. I have a keyboard that I'm not used to, so that's basically why that's happening. Let me find you the docs about spaces. Configuring AeroSpace. Emulation of virtual wake spaces. Yes! So this is the first thing I saw. Native macOS spaces have a lot of problems. The animation for spaces switching is slow. Very true. You can't disable animation for spaces switching. You can only make it slightly faster. You have a limit of spaces. That doesn't bother me as much. You can't create, delete, reorder space and move windows between spaces with hotkeys. Yes, I would love that. And there's no public API to communicate with spaces, to create, delete, reorder, switch spaces, and move windows between spaces. And I saw this and I was like, oh, these people are basically feeling the same pain that I am. So I should probably look into this tool. So that's actually what I'm trying to talk about is AeroSpace. And I can't actually demo it because as we found out during our last, when the three of us, or plus Jackie, kind of hung out and tried to preview this, like figure out what we were going to do for Dev Show and Tell, it turns out that my computer completely froze up if I used AeroSpace while sharing video, and so I can't really demo it. I will do my best. I am going to enable it really quickly, and then I'm going to disable it right away. So I'll turn it on just so you can see it. So AeroSpace is hopefully going to fire up here. You saw that window change. It became almost full screen. What I have right now is it by default auto tiles in an accordion format. So right now on the right side, you can see I have this little thing here, and it changes as I click on something and moves to a different window, which is really cool. And then I have shortcut keys to do that. So Alt J will move to the left, etc. Alt L will move to the right. And then I can also change this from an accordion format to just like a tiling format. So they're all kind of next to each other. And that's great. And I love that. And if I wanted to, I can kind of drag things around, reorder them, and it'll take care of that for me. I can also combine things so that I would have like basically 2 and 2 on the left and 2 and 2 on the right. But I'm not going to do that because I don't remember the keystrokes to do that right now because I haven't been using it because of the streaming problem. Anyways, this is great. And what I wanted to show you while I have it up is that, well, first of all, I now have in my top thing up here, I have my list of spaces, and you'll see that I've named them all. So I have my junk drawer as my default, where I just put everything that I don't know what to do with it. I have comms to hold all my communication stuff. And then I have different projects that are here that I'm working on, or tasks that I'm working on, which is fantastic. So I could just like bounce over to a different space and I'm there. There's nothing there right now because I haven't actually moved anything to these spaces. I also can do all that navigation with shortcut keys, which is fantastic. I love it. I guess the other thing I want to show you here while I have it running is that it is completely not taking advantage of Mac OS spaces. It's doing something completely different. And that allows it to kind of get around the main issue that I can't use you by is it needs you to enable this specific setting on your computer that I can't do on my work computer. It's called SIP, or you need to disable SIP. I forget what it stands for, like Security Integrated Protection, I think. I can't disable that on my work computer, so I can't use it. That's why I had to switch back to using Raycast for that one particular feature. So it gets around that by basically using what is effectively a I guess this isn't really showing me here, but it's a really, really, really big single desktop is what it uses. And it places these windows, it moves them to the visible frame when you shift to that workspace. But if you were to use mission control to see all of your windows, which you only see 4 of them right now based because of how I have my Mac OS spaces set up, if you used mission control to view all of your windows that were currently open, what you would see is like these teeny tiny little icons that are windows scattered like thousands of pixels apart from each other. And so it makes the Mac OS spaces basically unusable when you have this turned on. And that's definitely in their recommended settings and such. So I'm actually going to I'm gonna quit AeroSpace just because I don't want it to lock up my computer, and I suspect that that's coming soon. And I want to start walking through some of the configuration that I have set for it. Let me make sure that
Can I ask you?
Oh yes.
Before that, does AeroSpace have a replacement for this like mission control thing where it shows you only the space thing? They do.
That is in my notes for us to talk about. Is that it does not.
Nice. Okay.
Oh. So what I've been doing is I actually I have AeroSpace. Something I'll talk about in my in a future show and tell is that I have a digital garden that I set up where I'm just kind of like keeping notes that I'm publicizing. But yeah, I have notes about all the things that I liked and didn't like about it along the way, and I'll call out some of those. Before I get there, I want to just really quickly walk through the configuration so you can see like how configurable all of it is. So let's jump back over to this, and I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Let's make that a little bit more visible for you. Let's try right there. So yeah, I'll try to just kind of hit some interesting highlights here. I kept a log of all the things that I changed along the way, including I didn't like the default arrows, how to move windows from one place to another. I also was missing my next and previous workspace commands. Initially I changed it to one thing, and then I was like, oh no, I need to just actually simulate what spaces is doing for that. But what's cool is you have the ability to, as I scroll down here to find these, you have the ability to define like all of these different shortcut keys. So I have all the like moving my focus from one window to another directionally is Alt J, K, I, and L. Alt/Alt comma was how I switched between tiles and accordion displays. And then moving things is similar, except I just add the shift key. And then joining, I don't really want to get into how AeroSpace manages all the windows, but effectively it's a tree, and you can combine branches of the tree so that it basically like you end up with like sub sections of windows that are grouped together. And then switching between workspaces, I have all those set to shortcut keys, and moving to a different workspace. And there's a handful of different functions that you can link these things to within the AeroSpace docs. It's very well defined or described. And then you can even, it has the concept of modes. So you can switch between like a regular mode and a service mode is kind of what they do out of the box, which allows you to basically, once you you hit a command key and then or a set of keys and you jump into service mode, and then that allows you to do things that aren't defined in your main mode, like reloading the configuration or resetting the entire workspace tree so that everything's just laid out as one set of accordions again. And so this is where it starts to get really interesting, because you can do a lot of kind of hacking. Like I added one here, Alt R, that would basically execute and forget, which is to run it in the background and not worry about it finishing. To list all the windows that were in my current workspace, and then for each of them, make them floating. And so this is something, Pavlos, that you actually suggested to me or you were wondering was, can I use AeroSpace without using the tiling? Because it definitely wants to use the tiling, but you do have the ability to turn a window from tiling into floating. And this was a command that basically allowed me to take all the windows that were visible, make them floating, and then I could use Divi as the tool that I'm using to kind of reorganize my apps or my windows on the screen, and switch them back into being managed by AeroSpace too, if I wanted to. And then let's see, I had an auto layout here that was kind of like, I don't like the default being just like laid out all in a row. I want them split. I want them grouped in twos. So this would stack them like 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. I would hit this command and it would just like stick all those windows in that kind of structure so that it was easier for me to see everything that was there. And then this is the other thing that gets interesting to me, is one of the things that was kind of would be a nice for me to have is, I love the idea of being able to open up a new workspace and just say, open all the windows that are associated with the commuted docs project. And so I could do that by, first I would define that I wanted a horizontal layout, and then I would start opening windows. So I'd open Edge with this specific URL, and then I would open another browser with this specific URL, which is the GitHub repo. And then I didn't get far enough, but I would also open a terminal and VS Code. And so then I would have all of those things kind of in that new window just by hitting that, or in that new workspace, just by hitting that one command. And I thought that was really great. So all these things were fantastic. All the features are fantastic. I just couldn't use it when I was sharing my screen. And that means that I can't use it because I share my screen or I'm on Zoom calls a lot at work. So that is the configuration. I'm going to jump back over to the kind of my notes and see if there's anything that's interesting for us to talk about there, and then I'll wrap up. Let's see. Can I name the workspaces something more semantic? Yes, we saw that. I was able to name them with the different names in that dropdown. That was really helpful. Workspaces don't retain state across computer restarts in this tool either. Super annoying. But the good news is I think that I could have scripted this. I think I would have been able to basically list all the windows that were open and kind of sniff. I think I have some more here. Kind of sniff based on some information in them. So like if, so yes, run this list windows to see all the open spaces. And then if it was code, it would have like the name of the project in it, and then I could tell which space that was supposed to go to. Some of these others are one-time windows that I could sort based on what they were. I just knew which projects I associated that with. And then, let's see, and then if it was my browser, I could try to, so first of all, it also displays the profile that you're using. So I have multiple different profiles that I use, for some of them for different projects, and I could detect based on that which space it should be associated with, and potentially even the title of the page that was open. I never got there. Again, I ran into the problem with the streaming and sharing, but I thought that was pretty interesting. Using more than one native space was seriously weird. Things would just be really ugly. That's actually what I'm doing right now. And when I opened up AeroSpace, I don't know if you saw, but I was only seeing 4 windows when previously I'd shown you in native spaces that I have like 50 open. So the two don't really play together very nicely. But that's fine. I think like once you make the decision to go with AeroSpace, I think like it's a commitment, and you don't really ever want to go back to regular spaces. Let's see, anything else interesting in here? Oh yes, so view all apps running in the current space. there's nothing built into so this is in like a mission control. I would hit control up, I think it is, and then I would see basically all of the windows that were currently open in the current space. There's nothing built into AeroSpace to do that, but there is an AeroSpace raycast extension which has a command to do that. And so then there is it's not going to do anything for me right now, but I think I had I don't recall where it is. There is an AeroSpace plugin in Raycast that will list all of that out for you, which is totally fine. It doesn't show you the windows, but it does list out the names of them, which is just as useful to me. And then, yeah, I just, in general, I didn't like the way that it tiled by default into either everything being in one accordion or everything being in one set of tiles. What I would have liked is something more that was like balancing it by default so that it was split into quadrants and things like that. But I never got far enough to figure that out. And then, yeah, I just kind of kept track of some interesting commands. There's a CLI that goes along with it that was pretty powerful and allows you to do as anything that you can do with the tool itself. You could do the same thing with the CLI, and so you could script it to do things that you wanted it to do. I think I'm going to stop sharing and ask for questions.
Nice. A lot of stuff.
I wish that I could use it.
Yeah. So is this the only thing that prevents you from using it, the laggy during video?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Hopefully this will be fixed and you can try this again. I do use the spaces the same way. And yeah, like it just sucks every day, but I mean, that's the best you can do, or I can do, without any extra tools. It sucks that you can't use this. This configuration thing you showed, the scripting, like this one long line.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Yeah, no, that was not fun.
Yeah, I'm sure you can have.
I could have done a better job of making that look nice. I was moving fast and furiously.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense for trying it out loud. For trying it out, it sucks that you can't. That it doesn't save the location of everything on a restart. That's. I wonder if this is something that they want to fix or they can fix, or if it's just not possible.
Right. One other thing that I was thinking, aside from like just sorting based on the kind of like the information that I was able to get out of the title of the window, was I was thinking like maybe I could have it so that I run a command before I shut down that saves the current distribution of all the windows, so that when I start it back up and it restores all of those windows, then I can match on the title exactly and push them all to the correct place. I think that might have been a way to do it. The windows all have an ID associated with them, and that ID changes when you restart, like process ID.
Right.
So I couldn't go just based on that, but yeah, I think it would have been like, you know, even if we could get like 80% of the windows in the correct place through that script, and then I'm left with just a few to manage in that kind of junk drawer space that I start with, that's so much better to me than having everything in the junk drawer and having to go resort it again. I hate that.
Yeah. John, how do you use spaces?
Yeah, I've been a little quiet just because I don't have this compulsion to organize my windows. I've never used spaces on purpose. I've accidentally maybe used it. Having all of the things that I'm working on in one space, I guess, just feels natural to me. It's like, I don't know.
What I know about you, John, or from what I know about you, I have a theory that you are actually really good about tidying things up and closing windows when you're not using them. So
true.
I think maybe that's the difference between you and me. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, at any given time, it's very likely I have Terminal, Safari, and I mean when I'm working, Slack. That's probably pretty close to it.
Yeah. I think the main tell of this thing is like how many tabs you have, which I'm sure I'm closer to Steve, and it's probably like more than 50 or something on desktop.
Yeah.
I don't know how to address this question. How about 7 laptops? I feel like that's a reference to something, but I don't know what.
How about 7 laptops?
I try to do one thing at a time, if at all possible, and so that's my organizing principle. But that's because like I can't do more than one thing at a time.
But you're a very disciplined person, and you put things away. And that's not
Good.
John, would you like to take a shot here with the last 20 minutes to show something?
I do. Yes. So a little preamble. It's hackathon week at Artsy, just so happens. And in a previous year's Artsy hackathon, I had made an iOS widget. And I had taken over the title of Chief Widget Officer at Artsy, because basically no one else cares about this thing. And maybe I'll just take a quick step back and talk about how the Artsy mobile applications work. It's a single React Native code base that produces our iOS and Android versions. Thank you to Pavlos for even actually having an Android version. But regardless, I don't use Android. I'm an iOS user like my personal life, so I don't know very much, really anything about the Android side of widgets. But I wanted to be able to have an iOS widget on my phone, and so this is purely like self-serving. Like this is about making it so that I can see art on my phone. And so the idea was I want a widget on my iOS device that will call home to Artsy servers and 4 times during the day switch between some artwork. I just want more art in my life. So I did that. I shipped it. It was great. Time passed, and Apple changed things, and I basically haven't returned to it in years, and it's gotten a little buggy, the rendering of it, and it's gotten progressively worse. And I finally, actually on Friday, I sort of cheated and I started to dig in on what has changed over the years and why it's not rendering the way I wish it was, or the way it was. So I want to like show a little bit of the bugginess and then maybe tell about how I fixed it. Okay, so now I need to present my screen. Give me a second to do that.
It was one of the bugginesses that it like shrunk a little bit and had like random padding outside. Was this an iOS thing?
Yeah, you got it.
I remember that at some point.
I'm going to show you this. Okay, so I have a few different ways to show you the problem. One is here. So I've taken a screenshot of my device, and this black border around the widget here is not intentional. This is supposed to be going all the way to the edges. But you can actually kind of maybe guess at what's happening here, which is that the operating system is trying to guide me or guide widget authors to avoid the edges because those are bad touch targets, whatever. Like they're like, you can kind of see it in this one down here, right? There, you could almost imagine there being a bit of a safe area being applied here. And so ultimately that's kind of what's going on. But there's actually another way you can break it too. So in iOS, you have light mode and dark mode, but you also have this weird thing you can do where you can apply a custom tint to your phone. And so here I've applied a custom tint and the result is that the widget just like doesn't even render right. So there's a little bit of an overlap between these bugs and how I fixed them. We'll go through that quickly, but one more thing I wanted to call out is that actually macOS can render these as well. So here I clicked on the date and time, and this little panel slid in, and this is the same widget that runs on my phone running on macOS, and you can see it having kind of a similar problem. This particular work is landscape, not portrait, and so the rendering bug is like on the top and bottom, but you can also see it on this tombstone info where like this black box should be going, like it should be anchored to the bottom and kind of going all the way. So anyway, I did a pull request today to Eigen that fixes this, and I had to use 3 things to make this work. And let's see, I think I want to do 2 views. Okay, so there were 3 things I needed to do. One thing to remember, if you've ever seen this, so like there's 2 levels of of stuff going on here. One is like telling iOS that you have widgets, and that's like in this part where you supply widget configuration, and then there's a system in iOS called like extensions, and so the widget is an extension. It's like not in your app exactly, but it's kind of a satellite target, and you are telling iOS how to render yourself. So anyway, there's like this widget configuration, and then there's like the actual Swift UI views. So there's configuration and there's views, and together they mix together to provide like your widget. So at the configuration level, I needed to add content margins disabled to tell iOS, stop doing this. Like this border here, I don't want this. Just let me go all the way outside the safe area. Why is this not the default? I don't know. Again, it's probably just because like they are babysitting bad-mannered developers and trying to have some sanity. So with that in place, I got the rendering I wanted. Everything went to the edges. This thing about like sometimes the like it just disappears altogether. This is about the second one. This is about container background removable. So what you're saying here is, in some cases, these widgets actually should have their background removed when they're being rendered. So, actually, I don't think I have a good screenshot of this, but there's like a lock screen. So widgets have evolved into not just like on your home screen here, they're actually on your lock screen too. And in that context or situation, what the operating system does is actually gives you a transparent background and removes your background from the view layers. And then what you see is sort of this like transparent little bit of UI. But like that doesn't really apply to like the way that we want to render here. We're trying to like render an image, and like there's no concept of like wanting a transparent background. So anyway, I just basically had to say like, don't do that. Like never remove my background. My widget can't operate in that situation. Then this is just extracting some strings. Okay, finally, in iOS 17, they added this container background view extension or view annotation. I'm not quite sure what. And so while we told it we never want to have our background removed, if we want to preview our widget in Xcode, we do have to call this thing so that we satisfy like the contract between the views and the rendering. So I had to like wrap an availability check and then supply the background as white. However, it should never be used. But the view doesn't know about the configuration set here in the widget configuration. So that's like another awkward bit here where you're like over here in this context of like creating the view of your widget, and then you're over here setting the configuration of your widget, and like these two things don't talk to each other until they are like running on the device or running in the simulator. So it's just kind of awkward. But anyway, so 3 things I had to do. Right, so I had to tell it to never to not babysit me and let me go all the way to the edge. Never remove my background. But if you are in a context where you're rendering my background, just make it white and get off my back. So I did it. I was able to make this all work. Big shout out to my buddy Eric Creech, who helped me find this one. The other ones I just kind of poked around and found them. So now when this hits the App Store, I will no longer have these goofy renderings, and I even figured out how to make the tint work, which again is kind of connected to that. Like don't change my background, just always render like this. So I did it. Questions, thoughts, comments?
I'm happy that the widget is still like,
Kicking around.
rarely, but still being updated. Yeah, I definitely have it in my homepage still, and it's kind of nice to have like a nice image every now and then. this return that you added in the, I saw some like V stacks and H stacks and
Oh
stuff.
God, yeah.
Was this not like returning? Was this like a iOS or Swift update thing, or?
Like, why do I have the return keyword here?
Yeah.
So it's maybe a little hard to see in the diff, but basically it used to not need to return because it used to be the body of a computed property. And here is a function.
But it's a function.
So it's the difference between computed properties and functions. I cannot wait until we can drop support for iOS 16 because then I won't need to do this availability check and I can reverse all this out. I can always call container background because it will always be available to me, and then I won't need that return anymore.
Nice. And remind me, does the widget connect or talk to the actual app at all? Or
yeah, what's even the point, right? Okay, so one sec, let me do this.
The reason I was asking is because, as you said, the app is in React Native, but it's not Expo, and I was wondering, like, if and when it ever goes to that, how this would like connect or whatever.
Yeah, so you can kind of see it here. I tried to highlight the local here, and then GitHub's showing you down here. So basically, this view has another annotation called widget URL. You supply it a URL, and when you tap it, it will then invoke that URL. You can kind of see this when I do it in Mac OS. So if I press this, you can see it actually opened my browser and went to this URL and tacked on that medium there. On iOS, that would be view modifier. Yeah, thanks, Jason. So in Mac OS, this is open to Safari because no one has told my operating system that the Artsy app controls that URL, but we have done that annotation in iOS, and so rather than going to Safari on iOS, it just opens the app and goes to a particular artwork page because we have deep link support in iOS. Yeah. Was that your question, Pavlos? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Okay.
John, did you have any response to Jason's question about considering a custom view modifier?
I mean, I think what he's saying is that that's what this is. Maybe I'm not understanding your question, Jason, but like all these are custom view modifiers. Oh, maybe he's saying I could do this with a custom view modifier. That's possible. I mean, I was kind of going for like, I have very little time to spend on this. This is the first thing that occurred to me, so this is what I did. Yeah.
Is there an Android version of this coming soon?
I think that there are folks at Artsy that are trying to do that. I don't know what the state of it is.
Nice.
And it sounds like you answered Jason's, or you understood Jason correctly.
Since we're talking about the hackathon, is there any other project that's like available to talk about that you like?
I mean, it just started today, so there's probably not much for me to report just yet, but I was really happy to open this pull request so that I can get, where am I here? So I can get this back working.
Funky.
Yeah, that tint one, so annoying. But prior to this one, I did another pull request to bump. So we had a minimum iOS version of 15. So now we're on 16. And then maybe next hackathon, I can bump that to 17 and make some things a little nicer.
Yeah.
But there's more.
Thing.
Like this was just to get things not broken anymore. We have some other ideas. Like I'd love to be able to have like a little more interaction here. So maybe you can like tap somewhere else on the thing and it kind of like flips over, and then we could run things like the price of the work, whether or not it's currently available, like some more, some more things. Because some widgets have a little more interactivity. So I'm curious to explore that a little bit. But anyway, that is my show and tell.
Can I ask one more question about the
Okay.
well, so I think you and I have talked a little bit about this in the past, but if I wanted to basically consume whatever feed it is you have for those artworks to put it somewhere else, would I, as an external developer, have the ability to do that?
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you said that because I made a very weird little thing. So to support this, I had to, like, one of the things you have to do when you make a widget is tell the operating system like when to update your widget or when there's new stuff. So I had to make an artworks of the day JSON file. This is what actually powers the widget. So these are just tiny little JSON files that I produce every day, and they sit in the server, and then everywhere, like everyone across the world that has the widget installed, the widget consumes this JSON and then understands that at 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., and 8 p.m., it should re-render your widget because there's going to be new content. And the new content is a new artwork. And so, but like where it gets the image URL and the artist name and the artwork title, that's from this JSON file. So if you want to reverse engineer that, Steve, this is a public JSON file that is available to you. There's no permissions here. And you'd be able to you'd be able to match what's being shown in the widget.
That's awesome. That sounds like something that I might actually do.
Nice.
Is that JSON, is it curated? Are the artworks curated by someone? Or
Yes.
how do they end up in that JSON file?
Right.
Sorry.
They end up in that JSON file with some kind of like cron job essentially. But it pulls from a curated list of artworks. So if I went to artsy.net, where are these things? Is it artworks? Oh my god, this is like broken when you have such a big screen. I think it's artworks, and then damn, I can't remember. There's like a thing that we do. Maybe it's in by. There's like a gene that we apply, and it's like manually applied. So someone is making like or maybe it's what's new. Aha, curator's picks. This is what I was thinking of. So this list of artworks is the starting point, and then I randomly sample out of here every day, and then like I do some like I track them or something, so you're not getting duplicates across your week or something like that. Nice.
Nice. And then I guess some kind of cron job or whatever that grabs these, puts them in a JSON.
That's exactly right. So someone at Artsy is responsible for making this curator's picks collection, and then my cron uses it as the basis for producing that JSON file. And that, you know what, you're reminding me that I have .com/Artsy viewer. Actually, I kind of forgot I did this. So this also pulls from that same collection, and the intention here was for you to like put this up on a TV or something, and then every hour at the top of the hour, a new one will slide in, pushing the other ones away. And yeah, it's really fun to build too. But it's like all kind of the same source artworks.
That's cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then you can kind of just like scroll through and just see, I don't know, like what someone who's smart about art has said are like the coolest things to be looking at right now.
Nice.
And this is public too, so anybody who wants to have some more art in their life, they can do that.
By the way, after we finish here, I will share links to all the things that we
Nice.
talked about and post them as a comment in this on this stream.
Nice.
I think we did
And I
it.
think
Like we're gonna need to end the stream here and let people get back to their normal lives. I think we've had like 2 viewers almost the whole time, at least 2 viewers almost the whole time. So this is our far and away our most successful stream, Steve.
Nice.
Absolutely.
No, that was good.
It's because you hosted.
All right. Well, thanks again for showing and telling, and we'll see you next time next Tuesday.
See you later.
See ya.